Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb DeLoach, and we have some pretty big football games to talk about, and we are closing out another fall sport, a couple fall sports completely here in the show, and then we're going to talk about a very, very big football game happening here in Cape County this upcoming weekend, and starting to flip the calendar over to winter sports. So getting started here, we will go back to this past week, look at some of these last two football games we had. Cape and Jackson were both in action. The Tigers were on the road at Farmington in the district title game, Class 5, and they fell, unfortunately, to the Black Knights up there, or I guess they're just the Knights now. Some of their stuff has Knights and Black Knights on it. Whatever. 21-0 was the final score there. Cape held to only 171 yards of total offense. Keyshawn Boyd, person you expected to be a big X factor this go-around, only held to 72 yards. A little bit of surprise. 21-0, definitely not the score I would have predicted in that game. Farmington's a team that has given up points all season long. Cape, not a high-scoring team. I mean, if you told me it was same score as last time they played, 35-21 or something like that, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. But it was just a really tough offensive game for Cape Central. And, it's credit to Farmington. They just said, hey, you guys have shown no interest in throwing the football for about a month and a half, so we're just going to stack the box and see what happens. And it worked. Every down, Farmington played with 8 men in the box, so they play a 3-4 generally. But this ball game, they had 3 down linemen. They had their 2 outside linebackers up on the line of scrimmage. They had 3 guys at the linebacker level. So, they were playing an 8-man box all game. Just assuming that they would eventually force Cape. Cape would pick up 4 or 5 yards sometimes, but just assuming that eventually, and was the case pretty consistently, at some point they're going to get a stop for no yards and get Cape behind the chains, force them to pass. And when they forced them to pass, then Farmington brought pressure. They just brought dudes from every direction. They were bringing blitzes from every side, up, middle of the line, outside, overloading one side of the line, things like that. And it really, really worked. It obviously held Cape to 0 points, going through the ball game, kind of how it broke down. Cape got the ball first. They punted. You're going to just going down the list here. It was a punt and turnover on down fest, sprinkled with a couple Farmington touchdowns here and there. Cape punted. Farmington got the ball. Turnover on downs. Cape forced to punt from their own end zone. Gave Farmington good field position, but then Farmington turnover on downs. Cape gets it back. Punted again. That ended the first quarter with 3 Cape punts and 2 Farmington turnovers on downs. So not a pretty offensive start to the ball game. But Cape offense not moving very much. Cape defense playing well. A little bit of bending, not breaking, which was working for them for, that early part of the ball game, which isn't a surprise. Cape defense has been really good the last couple years. And this season, their defensive backs have been really good. So they slowed down the run enough. They got after the quarterback, made Tatum Tinsley have to kind of make some Superman plays, which he did succeed in a couple times, including their first touchdown, which was on the next drive there in the second quarter. It was 4th and 9. Tatum Tinsley just scrambled around, breaking tackles, weaving, ducking, dodging, and heaved it into the end zone for a score. And or got it down to like the 5-yard line. I think they punched it on the next play. Excuse me. So they went up 7-0. Kind of get back to the same old here. Cape got it. They did drive this time all the way down the field, but got stopped inside the 10-yard line, I believe. It was just, like I said, pretty consistent deal where Farmington just loaded up on the run consistently, and Cape just did not have, enough push, didn't have enough gaps to find wiggle room to hit any big plays, anything like that. So, Farmington gets the ball back. What do? They turn it over on downs again. Cape gets it. They punt it. Farmington gets it. Turnover on downs to end the first half. 7-0 at halftime. a shocker. Like I said, Farmington's a team that can score. I mean, in the first matchup, they scored 35 points on Cape and had 3 interceptions, I think. So, going into this, a lot of people, Cape fans, and a lot of other people thought it might have been a moment, a reversal of fortunes type of possibility for them. That first game, Cape turned it over a bunch. They fumbled it 3 or 4 times, and they had no Keyshawn Boyd. So you just say to yourself, hey, what if we just don't turn it over this game and we get Keyshawn Boyd? Maybe we can make up that 14-point deficit that we had. But, the story continued in the second half. But unfortunately for Cape Central, on the first play of the third quarter, just a zone read, I think outside zone to Coy Fripp went for 80 yards for a score. The running back at Farmington made that 14-0. Farmington forced another Cape punt and immediately marched down the field. 20-yard touchdown pass by Tinsley, put them up 21-0. When they went up 21-0, it felt like that was the end. This Cape offense, not super explosive unless they do just find a crease, hit a huge run by Boyd or Murray. But at that point, it just felt like it was probably over. And it was, Cape, once again, nice drive, ends in turnover on downs because they can't capitalize in the red zone. Farmington punted. Cape gets it back. They drive down the field, get into the red zone again, and on a tip pass, ball gets intercepted in the end zone. Cape does get it back on an interception in the end zone. D. Williams, shout out to D. Williams, him and those other guys in the defensive backfield. Played really, really well down the stretch. This is the last game, and it is kind of a crappy way to go out. I'm sure if you're a player or fan, 21-0, but those guys on the back end played really, really well all season long, especially down the stretch. Williams, Clemens, Martavion Robinson, all these guys on the back end and the second level as well. Joseph Hamlin, Malachi Johnson, all these guys played really, really well. So the secondary for Cape Central has been a strength, but unfortunately the offense just did not have enough and could not find enough. In this one, and after that interception, pretty much into the game, Cape had a short drive, about a minute and a half. This game got over really, really quick. Both teams running the ball, kept the clock moving pretty consistently. And unfortunately for Cape Central, that does end their season. Good year, overall. This is about where I had Cape this season. Maybe I thought they might win 1 or 2 more games in the end. But overall, this is about where I kind of expected them to be. I thought going into the year that Farmington was probably going to be a better team just because of I think Cape lost quite a bit of talent on the top end. And then I thought Farmington, just with the Coach Eckley factor, was going to take a huge jump this year. And that was the case. They're district champions. And yeah, it was a good year for the Tigers. 8-4. They took care of business where they needed to. The one impressive win, obviously, Live for Life, very nice win over the Phoenix, I believe is what they are. No, that's Miller Career Academy. Live for Life are the Hawks, excuse me. A real bird, a hawk. Nice home win over Live for Life. Very cool there on senior night. Live for Life, very good team. Going to be playing Dexter this week. That was a very nice win, a surprising win. But everything else pretty much went according to expectation in my mind. They beat the teams that they were bigger, better, more talented than, and lost to the ones that they were, maybe a equal or step behind. Jackson, St. Dominic, Farmington. Overall, good year. Another solid season, 8-4. The senior class has had a ton of success in their 4 years as Tigers. They've, if you count all 4 years, what is that? 38 wins in 4 seasons is awesome. They went 10, 10, 10, and now 8 this season. So, a great showing, especially, the years before that. They won 5 games combined in 2 seasons. So, really nice turnaround here by this group. Unfortunately, as it happens for everybody, they have a lot of guys going out the door. that are really, really important to this team and really, really fun players to watch and good kids. Also, I mean, I'm just going to run through the names, and a lot of these are very big names for this Tigers team. I mean, Keyshawn Boyd, 4,000 yards in his career. Got hurt this season, which just sucks so much, but awesome kid and great talent. Jason Spain, really emerged this season as as a receiving threat, excuse me. He's had a strange career as a Tiger, having to step in at quarterback as a sophomore, and then transitioning over to tight end and being a glorified blocker last season, then over the offseason getting the offer from SEMO, and then kind of, showing what he can do in the pass game this year, which is really, really cool to see. Brayon Clemens, just all-around playmaker. I kept posting about it. I think he had 3 straight games of defense or special teams touchdowns, just a weapon all over the field. Defensive back, as a receiver in the return game. Martavian Robinson really kind of came out of nowhere this year. A really good receiving threat. Made a lot of plays defensively, had several interceptions on the year. I was really impressed by him. Connor and Colton Poole. A lot of guys along this line of scrimmage. The Pools, Nunley, Husky. There's a lot of guys moving on there. There's a Demarion Nunley, good two-way player for him. Torrance Murray, the guy who picked up the slack with Boyd out. Murray had a really good year. You expected him to be the number 2 guy coming into the season, just complimenting Keyshawn, but he had to step up. I mean, he's had, I think the first time these two teams played, he ran the ball 41 times in the game. So, I mean, he's been a workhorse. He had over 1,000 yards this season. So an awesome year for him. I said Isaiah Husky. We'll see. I'm really hoping he's healed up by track season. He's a really, really big-time thrower, so I hope to see him out there. Terrell Grove has made some plays this season at receiver. Aiden Dockery, good defensive back, receiving a little bit here and there as well. Jonathan Williams, Matthew Pope, Deshaun Sims made some plays here and there. Max Pardon along the line. Jaron Nichols, Joanne Laxton, Jonah Brink, 17 seniors, a lot of who were major contributors at one point or another in various spots. Sometimes some of them on both sides of the ball, like Spain, made a lot of plays as a defensive end. Like I said, Clemens playing both ways, Robinson playing both ways. a lot of contributors. Going to be moving on after this year. So really unfortunate, but like I said, good year for the Tigers. Nothing to hang your head about. Good Farmington team. It's tough to go play on the road in a district championship game. And yeah, I'm excited to see where they go from here. There's names, obviously, that I'm interested in. They're going to be back next year. A few guys that have stood out to me that are going to be back. Well, I mean, it starts at the quarterback position. Aiden McGuire is back next year. I hope to see more out of what he can do this upcoming season. In year number 2, it's when you can take a nice jump a lot of times, I think, as a starting quarterback. I'm excited to see where he can go and, how he can help evolve this offense with his arm. Christian Murdoch, another kid that played well, defensive back. Logan Margetta, I really like. He was just everywhere, every game this season, tackling machine at linebacker. Excited to see him back out there on the field. I assume he'll still stick at linebacker this next season. I know he's a little undersized, but he's just a big-time hitter. There in the middle, Malachi Johnson made a ton of plays. Joseph Hamlin made a ton of plays. So there's a lot of guys. Joey Charlton, big-time kicker, back next season. So there's a lot of names. I'm excited to see how they develop and see where things go. There's some young guys coming up who are really, really interesting. I'm curious to see how they utilize them. You saw in that Lift for Life game, a freshman, Josie Seaball, came in at quarterback. Is he at quarterback next season, or do they move him somewhere else, kind of get his athleticism out on the field? He's a kid I'm excited to see where he can go from here. But, yeah, there's a ton of guys. A lot of young guys even made a big impact. Just scrolling through R.J. Gafford, people like that, came in as underclassmen, got thrown into the fire at times, maybe a little over their heads, but it's going to be all for good in the end, the learning experiences they garnered this season. So congrats to the Tigers. Tough way to go out, obviously. It stinks, but good season overall. I've been really happy, and now those that are going to translate over, time for basketball season. Get ready for basketball season. So, And the other game was at Jackson. Class 6 District 1 championship game. The Indians took on the Northwest Lions, and final score 70-7. Jackson won. No drama here. Not a lot to talk about. Looking at the numbers, Drew Parsons had 150 yards passing and get a touchdown pass as well. Jalen Hampton, big-time game. He only carried the ball 13 times, but he picked up 143 yards, 5 touchdowns. Really, really nice night for Jalen. Blaine Reagan had a big night, playing both sides of the ball. The first play of the game, Jackson took a shot over the top to Blaine. The ball was a little underthrown, so the defender grabbed onto him, and he was not unable to break it, and he got tackled, I think, at the 1. But he had 91 yards receiving on just 2 catches, I think, and 2 interceptions on the defensive side. So big night for him. Lucas Cox had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Gage Parker in the second half, he had 100 yards rushing. He had a couple scores. So, just a dominant one-sided performance for the Indians. They led 56-7 at halftime. So it was pretty open and shut from the very beginning. I think Jackson scored 4 touchdowns in the first quarter, 4 touchdowns in the second quarter. Northwest couldn't do anything. They couldn't run the ball. They had 27 carries for 41 yards on the ground total. Through the air, they went 5 for 12. They had 81 yards passing. 66 of those 81 came on one play, which was a flea flicker that did beat the Jackson defense. The DBs all came up, threw it over the top, hit the kid, Omarion Frazier. But Omarion Frazier did not realize that Jackson has the fastest kid on the field pretty much every night. And Blaine Reagan, who did chase him down, but they did get on the board on that drive. I think they powered it in with their quarterback, but 3 interceptions. Like I said, the 1 fumble that went for a touchdown as well. So Northwest couldn't do anything. The Jackson defense just suffocated them. The Jackson offense smoothed the ball at will. Had another double pass. This one back to the quarterback, Drew Parsons. So that was very fun. I think Parsons was like the 2nd leading receiver, maybe the 3rd leading receiver, technically on the ball game. But yeah, it was just not a contest. Pretty apparent from the very, very beginning. Jackson, like I said, scored in 2 plays on their first drive, and then just bulldozed Northwest. It wasn't a surprise coming into it. This was, Northwest had lost to Oakville. The Jackson had just, turbo clocked in the semifinals. So, they took care of business. They did what they were supposed to do. They did what they needed to do. They got out relatively healthy. I know during the week, I think there was an injury to Tyler Fisher, which is super unfortunate. He was the starting corner for the Indians. I don't believe he'll be available next week. So that is unfortunate. But, overall, just did what they were supposed to do. The Indians dominated. And, it was a fun ball game. A lot of guys got involved. Jalen Hampton was phenomenal. He averaged over 10 yards a carry. The Indians on the night averaged over 10 yards a play. It just felt like whatever play you want to run. You want to throw, you want Parsons to roll to his right and throw. You want him just to 3-step drop, throw, hand it off to Hampton, hand it to Maddox, hand it to Parker. It was going to go for 10, 15, 20 yards and a touchdown. So it was just an overwhelming ball game by the Indians. It was a lot of fun. I call the games for Jackson, doing play-by-play on the radio, and it was pretty one-sided, pretty simple open and shut ball game. As I said, not a lot to talk about, not a lot of drama, not a lot of question marks, nothing to critique on my end. So a good win, and you got a big one. You got a big one next week. So. We'll talk about that here in a minute. That's kind of where all the eyes are going to be at. Obviously, this was just another box to check. You want to celebrate winning a district title. That's your 3rd consecutive district title since coming to Class 6 and since Coach Ryan Nesbitt took over at Jackson. So you want to celebrate those things, but at the same time, this was expected, right? This was where you were supposed to be. And now you're in the quarterfinals, and then this is what it's all been leading to. This ball game right here against CBC this week. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. We do have a couple more things that wrapped up this past week. One of those being boys soccer. Unfortunately, the Notre Dame Bulldogs did fall to Rockwood Summit 4-3. An exciting ball game. Rockwood led 1-0 at halftime. They added a second goal in the 57th minute, so they went up 2-0. Most dangerous lead in soccer. And immediately, Clark Summers came off the bench. He scored, like I said, like a minute after Rockwood Summit went up 2. So made it 2-1. And then just a few minutes later, Andy Peterson scored on an incredible free kick in the 62nd minute. However, Rockwood Summit took the lead back in the 71st, 3-2. And then Trenton Powell equalized on a penalty kick very soon after. So went into overtime at even 3 apiece. Nice comeback by Notre Dame, but unfortunately Rockwood Summit, about a minute and a half into overtime, a second chance opportunity off the keeper. They put it away quick there in overtime to win it, golden goal style there in the playoffs. So tough ending for Notre Dame, obviously. I mean, shout out to the goalkeeper, Braxton Sides. Sure, 4 goals got in, but he had 9 saves on the ball game. Big-time performance by him. Obviously, like I said, Summers, Peterson, Powell, all getting in the goal column for the Bulldogs. And so, tough way to go out. I mean, they're playing a really, really good team in Rockwood Summit. Rockwood Summit, I think, top 5 in the state in their class. So, tough way to go out for the Bulldogs. They are another team. They're losing a lot of seniors. 7 guys graduating off the team in total. Jay Zhang, Brian Zarate Mauleon. I skipped through my notes here. The other guys, Gary McMullen, Owen Lockman, Max LeGrand, Tanner Lee, and Colton Londaway, the 7 seniors heading out the door. Those guys, once again, laid a really, really nice foundation for this group. They had a couple of district championships during their tenure there. And, really, really nice season for the Bulldogs. They played well pretty consistently throughout the season. I know things started, things went, they had some bumpy stretches throughout the year. I believe they came in, second technically in the SEMO conference. But overall, really, really nice year. I was pretty impressed with how they played. Yeah, just looking through the year, they had a big win streak in the middle of the season, obviously. Early in the year, it was kind of up and down. You lose to a good Perryville team. You lose at Farmington, which is maybe a game they shouldn't have lost. You lose a couple over in Kentucky. But then you really start just knocking away at teams that you should be beating: Poplar Bluff, Fredericktown, Cape Central. And overall, really nice season by the Bulldogs, winning Class 3 District 1 tournament. I mean, they just dominated throughout the tournament. They outscored the teams 10-1 in the tournament. And they played a really, really competitive, fun, up-tempo ball game there against Rockwood Summit. It's tough, but 14-9, really good year. And like I said, this group adds another district championship. I mean, it's what you expect over at Notre Dame. I know at times, just a ton of history over there. But they're another team. They bring back a lot next season that I'm really high on. There's a lot of young guys on this team, a lot of guys who are even, sophomores that I'm really high on that are coming back next year. So I have no doubt that Notre Dame will be able to bounce back and be once again, one of the premier teams here in Southeast Missouri. That should not change. That probably will never change. So congrats to them on a good season. I know it stinks that it's over, but a really, really good year for the Bulldogs getting to the quarterfinals. And speaking of Bulldogs, they had some really, really good showings over at the state boys swim meet. In the Class 1 championships, as a team, Notre Dame came in 5th place. Individually, they did have one state champion, Mr. Hudson Dennis, first place in the 50 freestyle in 21:47. Hudson, really, really good swimmer. Just really, really good all-around athlete. Good basketball player as well. Just a great season here at the end after coming back from injury earlier in the year. He also came in 3rd in the 100 freestyle and he was part of some relay teams. But the other individual that really showed out was Caden Craycraft. Craycraft came in third in a 200 IM, and he came in fourth in the 100 backstroke. And then the relays I mentioned, they got second place in the 200-yard freestyle relay, and then third in the 200 medley relay. So really, really good state championships for Notre Dame. They definitely acquitted themselves nicely there at state. Rest of the area, Will Lawrence from Cape, he qualified in a couple of races for state. He finished 20th in the 100 butterfly, 25th in the 100 backstroke. And then Jackson had some folks go to the state championships. Individually, Jan Honke came in 14th, 100 backstroke, and 25th in the 200 IM. In relay races, they came in 23rd in the 200 medley relay, 23rd in the 400 freestyle relay, and 27th in the 200 freestyle relay. So swimming and diving, done. Soccer, done. As far as fall sports go, it is just the Indians left. That is all we've got in fall sports. I will, jump over here now to what we're doing this week. That is when we start getting into some winter sports, so that's exciting. I do first, kind of in this in-between sections of the show, just kind of run through what you have left in the football region. If you're interested, teams outside of Cape County. Who's left in Southeast Missouri in Class 1. Hayti won their district. That's who beat Saxony. They ended up beating Portageville, and now they're on to the quarterfinals in Class 1. They're playing at Van Far. I think it's a winnable game. That game's also this Saturday, 1 p.m., up there in Vandalia. Really long drive from Hayti. I think it's like 4 hours and some change, so that stinks. I think it's a winnable game. If it was a little bit closer, or if it was a Hayti, I think they would be maybe the favorite, but it will be a tough ball game. I think they played last year, and Van Far blew them out, but I like this Hayti team quite a bit. I definitely think they can make some noise in that ball game, potentially win. Crothersville lost to St. Pius out of Festus in the district championship game in Class 2, District 1. So St. Pius is moving on. They're in Class 2. Class 2, probably going to be Blair Oaks. Winner of Blair Oaks and Lamar on that side of the bracket in the semifinal, probably going to be the state champs. Class 3, though, Dexter won their district over Potosi, 33-12. So the Bearcats do get to take on Lift for Life, who upset Valley, technically, in that district. And so that'll be a big-time matchup. That's another rematch from last year. Live for Life blew out Dexter. They're playing up in St. Louis and Melville at Melville High School. So I'm interested to see how it goes. This Dexter team is good. I mean, I think they're improved from last year, which I don't think that's crazy to say. I think they're improved from last year. Live for Life is going to be tough. I mean, they're super, super athletic. I watched the game they played against Cape, obviously. I've seen them play a couple other games. I mean, they've got some absolute burners out there. Offensively, their quarterback is really good. I mean, they've got a lot of weapons. So, I mean, I think it'll be tough for Dexter. They definitely are not the favorite, in my opinion. But I think they can make some noise in that ball game. I don't think it'll be 50-12. That's my bold prediction. That's another one, though. Let's see. Could see Seneca. Could see Lift for Life and Seneca in the state championship game. That would not surprise me. Class 4, not really anybody local represented. Festus, who Jackson played at the end of the year. They won their district. I expect them to be in the semifinals. They're going to lose to Kearney, and Kearney's probably going to win the state title. In Class 5, I mentioned Farmington beat Cape. Farmington's playing Kirkwood. I think that game is at Farmington, so that'll help out the Knights a little bit. I don't think it'll matter, though. Kirkwood's good. I think Kirkwood's going to win that ball game. And then probably play Platte County for what I would describe as maybe the de facto state championship. Cardinal Ritter's on the other side of the bracket. Carthage is on the other side of the bracket, so we'll see. It'd be funny if Cardinal Ritter wins a state title this year, whenever people consider them to be down. Or, last year was kind of their year where they should win, and they got upset. But, I mean, they're good enough. And then in Class 6, this is our one game this week, right? It is Jackson hosting Christian Brothers Saturday, November 22nd, 1 p.m. at the Pit. So an interesting conundrum. It's at the Pit, but it is on a Saturday afternoon. Maybe not when you want it to be for the peak home field advantage factor, but it'll be neat. I mean, Jackson hasn't hosted a quarterfinal since 2000. What was that? Did they host a quarterfinal? Was it 2007, 2008, something like that? I think that's when they hosted the quarterfinal last. But yeah, so I mean, it's been a long time since they've hosted a quarterfinal. Oh, wait, I might be talking out the side of my neck. They might have hosted the quarterfinals one of those years with Eckley, or maybe two of those years. Semifinals is where they'd never hosted. So anyway, talking about the game, I mean, look, CBC is really, really good. All right. I didn't put down a lot of notes here. I wrote down, CBC is 11-0. They average 56. I mean, it's pretty similar. They average 56 points a game. Jackson averages 54. They give up 22 points a game. Jackson gives up 13. They just beat Lafayette in the district title game. Both teams came in undefeated. So really big-time matchup. I mean, CBC is number 1 in the state in Class 6. Lafayette, probably top 5, number 6 or so. They beat Lafayette 77-62. They scored 77 points. They gave up 62 points. Unbelievable amount of points scored in that ball game. Myself, Cody, all the other guys in the press box of a Jackson were keeping up with that game. Obviously, Jackson went up, like 28-7 in about 6 minutes. So, we were keeping an eye on that game all night. And it was just crazy, the score going back and forth. It was 34-34 at halftime. Insane game. Anyway, I mean, this is going to be a tough game. I mean, there's no, it's how it's supposed to be, though, right? This is state quarterfinals. You're playing the number 1 team in the state. Obviously, this is the best team Jackson has faced all season long. They've been number 1 in Class 6 throughout most of the year. I don't know if they started there, but they've been there for quite some time. They played a really tough schedule too. It's not like they just got here with a cakewalk. They beat Sacred Heart Griffin out of Springfield, Illinois, I believe. They played Cardinal Ritter the week after Jackson did. They beat Cardinal Ritter at their place 34-12. They beat Chaminade by 50 at Chaminade. They beat DeSmet twice. The first time 56-13. The second time in districts 55-36. They played a team from Nashville, Lipscomb Academy, beat them. They put up 65 on them, beat them 65-33. Played a team from Georgia, Raven Gap, beat them 59-49. They blew out Vianney. They beat SLU 37-0. They blew out St. Mary's Southside. Mind you, SLU played a 1-score game against Lafayette in the semifinals of their district. They won 7 games. St. Mary's is still alive in the playoffs. Obviously smaller classification, but they beat them 56-9. They beat DeSmet 55-36, like I said, in districts. And then that crazy game against Lafayette. So, I mean, this is going to be a tough ball game. These teams played a couple years ago at the Pit in this same spot in the district quarterfinal or in the state quarterfinals. Final score in that one, 35-23. What can you glean from that? I don't know. I mean, I think this Jackson team is significantly better than that Jackson team was. And that Jackson team was being led by a sophomore, Drew Parsons, making his second start of his career. And, if you just want to say everything is even, which I wouldn't say it is, but if you want to say everything is even, this Jackson team I think is a lot better. They turned the ball over in that game 4 times, maybe 5 times, maybe. They led early. They played well. Like I said, ended up being a 12-point ball game. So, this is a game that Jackson has been in. That year, CBC got second in state. They lost in the state title. But I don't know. I don't know what to expect, really, in this ball game. It's kind of a mystery to me because Jackson has been unbelievable, right? They've just been scoring and scoring on everybody. They've just been shutting everybody down that they've been playing. But they haven't played a team in their weight class, what I would really consider, since week 3 at Edwardsville. A team that is as big, as athletic, things like that. Festus, good test, but they're a Class 4 school, not a special Class 4 school. They are a team that, they were in the state title last year. They might be back there. Or they might be in the semifinals this year. So, now it's a compliment to Jackson. It's not a knock on Jackson. It's not their fault. It's a compliment to what they've built, the program that they've built, just relative to their peers here in Southeast Missouri, the fact that they've just elevated themselves so much above everyone else, to where you look at their SEMO conference games, 56-7, 69-7, 62-24, and 75-7, final scores of their SEMO conference games. Not a lot you can do about that. And they smoked Miller Career. They went to Festus, gave up 21 points. 2 of those were on kickoff return touchdowns, which you can say is maybe a little fluky, maybe a flaw that they had, but they've done a lot better in that category. You can tell they've really focused on it. They've changed kickers on the kickoff. So there's been an obvious focus on that one weakness that they've had. You have to go back. Like I said, the first 3 weeks of the season, they played teams in their weight class, in my opinion. Cardinal Ritter week 1. Cardinal Ritter could be in a state title game in a couple weeks. Won that game 23-20. Cardinal Ritter, I would say across the board, was more athletic and equal size, maybe bigger in some spots. Ballard out of Louisville, Kentucky, more athletic, I think, at quite a few spots, a little bit bigger along the line of scrimmage. Edwardsville, humongous along the line of scrimmage, a lot bigger out on the perimeter. Their wide receivers were 6'5" and 6'4". Phenomenal athletes, kids going to Mizzou and other things. Jackson acquitted themselves well. They took care of the football, which that's what it's going to come down to. It's generic sounding. You're going to hear everybody say it, but it's the truth. That was what made the difference the first time these two teams played 2 years ago. Turnovers and the line of scrimmage. That's what football boils down to, especially between two teams that are, on more equal footing. Who wins the turnover battle, and how do you control the line of scrimmage? Jackson was all right controlling the line of scrimmage for parts of that CBC game when they played a couple years ago. Then it's like they kind of flipped a switch. They changed out running backs. They put in a big old linebacker that plays at Arkansas State, I think. They just started pounding the rock on Jackson. And then they have, athletes over the top. Then after, you're picking up 6-yard run, 6-yard run, 7-yard run, play action, throw it to a kid going to USC or whatever. So, it's a tough team to slow down. This team in particular, is a special offense. Some people say this is the best offense in the Midwestern United States. So take from that what you will. Looking at their numbers, I was kind of looking ahead, getting ready for the game. At quarterback, they have a guy, Nick McClellan. Nick McClellan is just an elite athlete who is playing the quarterback position well. He's completing 71% of his passes on 164 attempts, 2,200 yards, 26 touchdowns, only 2 picks. And then on the ground, he's been unbelievable as well. He's averaging 11 yards a carry to the tune of 1,200 yards and 17 scores. And they've got a running back that has track speed as well, kind of in that Blaine Reagan range, who has 1,450 yards, 18 touchdowns, and he averages 14 yards a carry. They got dudes, You get down here, they have a running back, 10 touchdowns, averages 7.5 yards a carry. On 29 touches, a guy has 7 rushing touchdowns. He averages 12 yards a carry. Out at receiver, no one guy is over 1,000 yards, but Jaden Reed, 40 receptions, 700 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's 18 yards of reception. Corday Gage, 19 yards of reception, 9 touchdowns. They have a tight end who's 6'7", plays tight end and defensive end. He's committed to Fresno State. Jake Plummer first. He's 19 catches, 300 yards, big-time athlete. This team is legit. They are very, very talented. They're going to be very, very tough. This is the best team Jackson has faced all season, in my opinion. This is the best team Jackson has seen since week 1 last year against Cardinal Ritter. And it's going to be a test. I mean, it's going to be a test. It's just going to be, how can Jackson meet that physicality level immediately? Can they meet that quickness immediately? Don't get thrown off by the fact that, hey, we haven't seen anybody like this in 2 months. You got to come ready. You've got to flip some switch like, hey, I'm playing like a different sport here this week. So, whatever it is, however they've got to do it, it's going to be a big task. I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be impossible to win. I think it's going to be really tough to win. Jackson's going to have to, like I said, they're going to have to do a lot of things really, really well. They're going to do a lot of things right. Like I said, take care of the football. They've been great at taking care of the football. They've rarely fumbled. Drew Parsons' decision-making this year has been phenomenal. There's been no, getting chased for your life. Let's just throw off my back foot into a crowd of people. It's been quick. It's been I flushed out of the pocket. I'm rolling. I'm throwing it, or I'm tucking and running, or I'm throwing it to the sidelines. Do not get yourself killed out in space. These are going to be some big dudes out there. I think Jackson can maybe do some things defensively up front against them. Jackson employs some kids that are kind of undersized up front, but the CBC offensive line is good size. There's not like a college offensive size line. They do have some dudes that are, 6 foot, 280, things like that. So they're going to be tough to move up front. They're road graders in the run game, and you've just got to be able to tackle. You've got to be able to tackle in space. It's going to be tough. You just cannot. It's a tough combination of you got to come up, make tackles in space. You also can't let yourself get cooked over the top, right? Because they've got waves and waves and waves of guys with incredible speed. And so it's going to be a test. They're going to have their hands full. Nick McClellan is a special athlete. He's going to be the player of the year in Class 6, offensive player of the year in Class 6. I mean, he's the real deal. He's going to Kansas State. He's going to Kansas State to be a defensive back, technically, just because he's a freak athlete. I think he's listed at 6'1", like 180. Good-sized kid. Younger brother, the McClellan kid at wide receiver that played for them when they played Jackson last time, who is playing at the next level. I'm not sure where he's at right now. I think he went to Ohio State. But anyway, I mean, they're legit. They're the real deal. It's going to be a tough game. I'm not going to say it's impossible for Jackson to win, but it's going to be the biggest test they've had in a long time. This team is really good. This Jackson team is really good. People are very high. A lot of people ask me, are they as good or better than 2020? I don't know. It's tough to say. I think 2020 is still better, but this team is right there. They've got dudes on the line of scrimmage on the offensive side. They stack up well. They get to the quarterback well. On the defensive side, the linebackers been playing so well. Joe Moore and Bortner and Langford, and then the dudes on the outside, Cox and Finley. They've just been all over the place. And, yeah, I mean, this Jackson team, the one reason I think that they can maybe hold up a little bit better than some other Jackson teams might have been able to is the speed they do have on the back end. I mean, losing Fisher does hurt, but you plug in Memphis Maddox, who has enough speed, undersized. I mean, they're losing a lot of inches there from Fisher to Maddox, but Memphis Maddox has speed to burn. Blaine Reagan can run with anybody. So, I mean, that gives me some hope. So we'll see. I mean, I'm excited. I'll be there. I'll be calling the game. You can listen to me if you want to. 104.7 The Bridge. Check it out online on your radio if you want to listen to me more. But I'm excited. It's going to be a really, really fun game. It's going to be one of those big-time special atmospheres in the state of Missouri. I think it's one of the best games, period. Just like you look around Class 6, you got Liberty and Lee Summit, Nixa and Helias, Pattonville, and Zumwalt West. So, yeah, I mean, this is the game of the week. Maybe in the entire state, looking at some of these matchups. Jackson has been, I think, number 4 pretty consistently all year in Class 6, CBC number 1. So it's a big-time matchup. It's going to be a big-time atmosphere. You can buy tickets online only, I think. To make sure to get that done. I don't need a ticket. Calling the game. No big deal. But, yeah, it's going to be cool. I mean, this could be a very high-scoring ball game. I mean, Jackson just scored 70 and CBC just scored 77. So Could be a really high-scoring game. Could be a very fun, one of the best high school football games you've ever seen. That's what I'm rooting for. Or you know what? Maybe I'm actually rooting for it to be one of the worst. I want Jackson to come out and blow them out. That'd be fun. But I don't think it's likely. So yeah, get out there to the pit. Go root on the Indians. If you have nothing else to do, go out there. Go watch some really, 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 really good football. So I'm excited. I can't wait to just be there, take it all in, and see how it goes, and come talk to you about it next week. So, all right. Outside of that, I think I rambled enough about that game without really saying anything important at all. But I don't know. I think Jackson has a shot, and I won't say no, but it's going to be a test. I mean, it's going to be a test. It's going to be a really, really, really tough test. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there are some winter sports starting this upcoming week on Saturday, same day as the football game, conveniently. The Jackson girls wrestling team, they're on the road up in Troy at the Troy girls wrestling tournament. So it'd be fun. Get the team out there. They've got a decent group of seniors coming back this year, obviously led by Kaylee Milam, who had an awesome year last season as a junior. She's now a senior. She went 37-9 last year. She came in second at state, 110 pounds. So excited to see her, excited to see where she's at. And yeah, be rooting for the Indians. And then up in Farmington, there's actually a big-time girls kind of all-day basketball shootout going on up there. I think it's at the Farmington Civic Center. You've got 3 of our local teams playing in that. It is an all-day affair, like I said. So the first game starts at 8 a.m. Saxony taking on Arcadia Valley. Report back, Saxony girls. How do you play at 8 o'clock in the morning? Tell me what that's like. I couldn't imagine. Couldn't do it now, but I definitely didn't want to do it in high school. Arcadia Valley, I mean, it's going to be a tough test. You know, Saxony had a tough year last year. They were led by a lot of young girls, so it's going to start quick for them. The Arcadia Valley, good team. They went 22-5. You know, they lost in their district championship game to Woodland. So it'd be a good test out of the gate. You know, I like what they have. Kinsey Keys, obviously, kind of the leader of the pack coming back this year. Really, really good player. I'm interested to see. I know Jalen Whitfield is there now, who had been at Jackson previously. I'm assuming she's going to be playing. So excited to see her. Excited to see what they look like. I think they're going to be pretty talented. I think they're going to keep getting better over the next couple of years. So it'll be fun to see. That's the first game of our local teams, and at 11:20, approximately, Jackson will be taking on Hillsboro. Another tough test here. All these teams in that region had pretty good years. Jackson obviously brings back a really, really good team. They only lost one game in the regular season last year. Jackson lost in their district championship game to Corhay Zoo. But Hillsboro is not going to be a slouch. They only lost 3 games last season. They went 25-3. They lost to Farmington in a disgusting basketball game in their district final. That's Class 5 District 1. That was 28-23, the final score. But Hillsboro brings back a really, really strong senior class led by a girl named Ashley Hilton, who's really good, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. All of their top 5 scorers from last year are back this year. So this is going to be a nice game for Jackson to kind of wake up to. Get hit in the mouth early here, see what they can do, see what they bring. Like I said, Whitfield is gone. Lily Harper had an injury I know is going to keep her out. So there's going to be some new faces again. They're bringing back a lot of talent, but they graduated 4 seniors, and they're bringing back quite a bit, though, that they're pretty excited about. So I'm excited to see how they do. And then later in the afternoon, Cape Central will be taking on Potosi in the ball game. 22-5 a year ago was Potosi. They also lost in their district title game, Class 4 District 2 against Park Hills Central. Good team, though. So that'll be a tough test for the Tigers. Tigers had a good year. There were a couple games under 500 in Coach Summers' first year in charge of the Lady Tigers there. I like what they have. Abby Davenport's back as our leading scorer. Jamie Dawson-Ide, the second leading scorer on the team, she's back this year. I'll be interested to see what they do, see what they have, see how they look. I mean, they have, like I mentioned, there's several girls back this year that I'm excited about. I think they can make a little bit of noise in the SEMO conference. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but I definitely think they're going to be in. I mean, they'll be should be a top 3 3-4 team, I would think, in the SEMO conference this year. So that'll be exciting to see. I mentioned a couple of the girls. I mean, Davenport's the only senior back. Jamie Dawson-Ide, really talented, going to be a junior this year. Looking at some names, Kyra Rivers, I'm excited to see if she can take a leap as a junior this year. Allie Cairns played well last season. She'll be a junior as well. One underclassman who I'm interested to see how she translates to the basketball court, Caden Kern, only a freshman, but, she really showed out well as a freshman playing volleyball for the Tigers this year. Had a really good year as a setter and, good size, good athlete, I assume. So I'm excited to see what she can do, see if she's part of the rotation, things like that. So, yeah, I'm excited to get to check out some new names, new faces, and a new few different sports here starting soon. So I think that's all the action we have coming up this week. All the other winter sports will be getting started the following week. Like, I know they're all going to be, a lot of basketball teams get started the first week of December. SEMO conference tournaments the second week of December. So a lot of winter sports coming up, but we do have, like I said, that one last football team remaining, the Jackson Indians, as it traditionally is. So outside of our high school, normal conversation there, games and stuff, a few other notes here at the end of the show kind of to bring up. Notre Dame, I mentioned, had a coaching vacancy this past episode, and that has been filled by Tom Bolin. Tom Bolin, 1994, Cape Central graduate. He went to Lindenwood to play baseball. Obviously, the son of the late Jess Bolin, legendary baseball coach. Tom himself was, led to Capitals for 7 seasons, and, a big-time name in the area as far as baseball goes. His son, TJ, is kind of a star player there for Notre Dame as well. So that'll be cool to see, what Coach Bolin can do over there at Notre Dame, a team with a lot of history, a, really proud team in general, I would say, but a team that's had a fair share of struggles as of late. Like I said, when I was in school, this was a team that you kind of feared, but the last 5 seasons, Notre Dame's kind of hung around 500. Since 2019, they were 20-7 that year, but since then they've been 12-4, 14-12, 13-11, 14-13, 14-14. We don't have to go back far, a decade, 10 years ago, they won a state title. They went 28-5 in 2015, won the state title, but they've kind of fallen on for them, harder times. So I'm hoping he's able to elevate that program back up to, high level where they have been in the past. We've had a lot of signings in the area. A lot of kids I saw from Jackson, notable Drew Parsons signing with SEMO. So a couple of SEMO signees here in our county. Drew is the starting quarterback, obviously, for Jackson. Year number 2 as a starter. But he's also a very, very good baseball player. He pitches for the Indians. He catches for the Indians. Super talented athlete. He's signing to play baseball there at SEMO. So that's really cool. And then Sydney Miller over at Cape, volleyball player, signing with SEMO as well. She had an awesome senior year this year. She's kind of helped be the face of a revitalization there, also with Coach Summer leading that group as well. Big year. She had 468 kills, 35 aces, 38 blocks, 280 digs. She led the team in serve, receive. She did everything for that team. She's a really, really good athlete. Excited to see her make her mark on the next level, where there's already a couple of local athletes there. I think Alandry Ballou from Advance is graduating, but they've got Katie St. John and Holland Williams from Jackson. So cool to see SEMO adding some more local flavor. Speaking of SEMO, just wanted to update their boys basketball team, 1-3. Their men's basketball team, 1-3 on the season right now, playing some tough out-of-conference games. We're very close to beating Mizzou a couple weeks ago. Would have been really fun. But yeah, not a lot to talk about there. They blew out Webster for their 1 win. And one kid I want to talk about, Cape Central graduate Cameron Williams. He is up in Portland playing for the Portland Pilots out in the West Coast Conference in their first 3 or 4 games. He's averaging 10 points, 5 rebounds, an assist, a steal, shooting 53% from the field. So shout out to Cam, playing really, really well. Cool to see a local kid kind of balling out there at the D1 level. Very fun. You can watch any of his games. You look up Portland Pilots on ESPN Plus. If you have ESPN Plus, you can watch him play. So shout out to those folks doing big things, and shout out to all, like I said, National Signing Day has been going on. There's, I think, it's a 2-week period technically, so been a lot of people signing and announcing their commitments, things like that around here. That's really, really cool. So I'm excited to see that. Excited to see young people getting the opportunity to keep playing the sports they love at the next level and get some of their college paid for, which is the really, really important thing. You don't want to be like me and have to be paying your college for 30 years, regardless. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Once again, I would implore you, if you got nothing else to do on Saturday, get online, check out the tickets. I don't know where they're at as far as ticket sales go, but if you still have the chance, get over there to the pit, man. It's going to be a big-time game. Going to be very cool. And, this is a Jackson program that's been really, really good. They've been the flag bearers as far as top-of-the-line football in the region for quite a while now. So I'm rooting for them. It'll be a heck of a game. And, if they win, that would be just awesome. It would be just so, so fun. If they do win, whatever. We'll get there when we get there. But I'll be rooting for them, and I hope you all do too. And yeah, like I said, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Keep liking, subscribing. Go check out the YouTube channel. Subscribe there. Like I said, we're getting more subscriptions there. I might be able to do some live stream stuff, things like that. You got to get up to that 50 number. So get up there, click the subscribe button. Excited to check out what all is going on. There's jamborees for basketball happening this week. So we'll recap all that on the next episode. But yep, thank you guys. I appreciate it. And, go check out these local athletes while you got the chance, or you're in luck. Winter sports are starting up. Get to stay inside, stay warm. So that's where it's at. So anyway, thank you guys, as always, for listening, for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.